Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I am going to be talking about the family of Andrew Jackson Combs, one of my prominent ancestors. And to give you an idea of uh, how my lineage goes back to him, I am Stephen Ray Combs, and my father was Glendon, and my grandfather was Ruford, and my great grandfather's name was Chester, and Chester's father was Meredith Combs, and Meredith's father was Andrew Jackson Combs, and that is who I am going to be talking about in this video. And he fought in the Kentucky State Guards, and he was an ore miner. That is recorded on one of the censuses. And he died at a relatively young age. I believe he was about 52 years old. And that sounds like he wasn't that young. But his wife, Martha Reynolds, lived to be in her 80s. So she had to spend over 30 years raising her children and her grandchildren without the help of her husband. So I think she is a very accomplished woman for having to do that. Now I'm going to show you a picture, which is the only known picture that I know of Andrew Jackson Combs. And I had a fellow researcher confirm that that was Andrew Jackson Combs with his wife, Martha Reynolds. And some people think he looks too old to be Andrew Jackson, but because he died at 52, but I don't know. To me, he does look pretty old, but I had another remote cousin say he had the same photograph and that he was always told it was Andrew Jackson Combs. So there it is. Anyway, and this is a picture of Andrew Jackson Combs' tombstone, and he is buried behind a post office in Tyner, Kentucky. And when you go to that cemetery, it feels like you're driving onto somebody's farm, because that's pretty much exactly what you're doing. And the last time I was there, it was all growed up and not being taken care of. So, and that was right after I got out of high school, probably in about 2001. It's been about 20 years since I've been there, and I'd say chances are it don't look no different. Now, here is a picture of the family, Martha Reynolds and all her kids. And the top corner there with the circle, that's my ancestor, Meredith Combs. I'm going to read to you what it says underneath. Rearing a large family was not uncommon when Owsley County was young, but Mrs. Martha Reynolds Combs, seated center, had the task of bringing up her 8 sons and 2 daughters alone after their father, Jack, died. A close-knit family, they live on Cow Creek up the Dudley Reynolds branch. 3 of the sons became country preachers. This photo, taken circa 1900, shows standing from left to right Tarleton Combs, who taught school on Indian Creek around 1890, Reverend Sid Combs, Henry West, Reverend James Combs, and Meredith Combs. Seated at left is the baby of the family, who also became a minister, Reverend Gilbert Reynolds. Lucy, the mother, Polly Ann, who worked for Berea Institute and later became Mrs. Ed Anderson, and Lee Combs. Maternal grandparents were Wes and Nancy Moore Reynolds, early settlers of the area. Photo courtesy of Henry Gabbard. So moving right along. Right here is a picture of the family, and I believe that this picture was taken at a birthday celebration for Mrs. Martha Reynolds Combs. I'm going to read what was put in the newspaper when they celebrated her birthday. "10 children celebrate with Grandma Combs. Grandma Combs celebrated her 82nd birthday at the home of her son H.C. Combs on Center Street, April 22nd, where a delicious dinner was served to the delight of all present. Grandma still seems to be in splendid health, and when the fine cake with 82 candles was given her to blow out, she easily blew them out. One of the outstanding joys for Grandma and all was that all her children, 10 in number, are still living and were at the table with her. These children, ranging in age from 37 to 62 years, namely Tarleton Combs, farmer of Berea; Mary A. Anderson, weaver of Berea; Meredith Combs with the L&N of Corbin, Kentucky; Lee Combs, living with Grandma; Mrs. Lucy Banks of Covington, Kentucky; Reverend J.M. Combs, pastor of M.E. Church at Nicholasville, Kentucky; W.B. Combs, carpenter, Lexington, Kentucky; S.B. Combs, superintendent of Perry Lumber Company, Lexington, Kentucky; H.C. Combs, electrician, Berea, Kentucky; Reverend Gilbert Combs, pastor of First M.E. Church, Lexington, Kentucky. Also a number of grandchildren and other distant relatives with E.M. Lakes and W.W. Rawminger as guests. While still at the table, the children sang "God Bless Our Mother," which was very impressive to those of us who have only a sad joy of once having had a precious mother. And at the end of this article, they have a poem. A mother's love is God's first gift to earth's frail children cast adrift on great time's tempestuous tide, their first, their best, their truest guide. Mother, mother, the sweetest word that mortal ears have ever heard, the holiest name to mankind given, this side the Pearly Gates of Heaven. And it is written by Riley Scott, a friend. And I've talked to some researchers about this family, and the only story that I have to share about Miss Martha Reynolds Combs, and I hate to even tell it because I really don't want her legacy to be only this, but it's all I have to tell. So when she got older, she couldn't see hardly, and she let her facial hair grow, and she had a lot of facial hair, and she kept pies on the counter, and they would get ants in it, and she couldn't see that the pies had ants in it, and she would eat them pies, and them ants would get caught in her beard, and some of her grandchildren were scared of her because of the way she looked, but she couldn't help that, and she is an outstanding mother to raise these fine kids that grew up to be ministers and had really prestigious jobs, and I am so proud, so proud to have her as a grandmother, even though I've never met her, and she died years and years and years before I was even born. I am so proud to be a part of this family. And I have one last article to read, and this is her obituary that was put in the paper. Mrs. Combs, 85, dies at Berea. Survived by 10 children, woman ill for months succumbs at home. Funeral to be Thursday. Berea, Kentucky, July 18th. Mrs. Martha Reynolds Combs, 85 years old, died last night at 7:30 o'clock at her home here. She had been a near invalid for several months. Mrs. Combs was the mother of Dr. Gilbert R. Combs, pastor of the First Methodist Church, South Lexington, Sidney Barnes Combs of the Perry Lumber Company, and Wesley B. Combs, all of Lexington. She was the daughter of Wesley and Nancy Moore Reynolds of Clay County, and was the great-granddaughter of Richard Reynolds of North Carolina, who married Elizabeth McLemmon of Ireland. On November 28, 1862, just before the Battle of Fredericksburg, she was married to Andrew Jackson Combs of Breathitt County, Kentucky. Following his marriage, Mr. Combs joined the State Guards and served in that capacity until the close of the war. He died at his home in Jackson County on August 23, 1895. Excuse me. After her husband's death, Mrs. Combs moved to Berea so that her children might have the advantages of an education. Besides her 3 sons who live in Lexington, Mrs. Combs is survived by 7 other children: Tarleton Combs, Leander Combs, Henry Clay Combs, Mrs. Mary Ann Anderson, and Mrs. Lucy Ann Banks, all of Berea. Meredith Combs of Corbin, and Dr. James Madison Combs of Mount Sterling. She is also survived by 2 brothers, Leander Reynolds of Owsley County and Gilbert Reynolds of Leslie County, and 2 sisters, Mrs. Pauline Huff of Leslie County and Mrs. J. Reynolds Gabbard of Owsley County. Funeral services will be held at Berea Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock with the Reverend A.J. Reed of the Berea Methodist Church, assisted by the Reverend Earl F. Ziegler of the Berea Church. So that's all I've got as far as documents are concerned. And I descend from her son, Meredith Combs, and they lived on Pea Ridge, and I'll have to do a video on them. But this is a pretty good, some pretty good information for you if you're interested in prestigious families in the early years of Kentucky. They're one of the top families, or at least I think so, because I'm related to them. So you all have a good night, and I'll catch you later. Bye.